Hey guys, I wanted to share with you my impressions for the Nexus 6. I've had the device for a little over 2 days, and of course these impressions could change the longer I spend with the device. But the first thing we'll talk about is the size, and there's no other way to look at it. This is one huge phone. It's a 5.96 inch display, and that's definitely going to change the way you use your device, especially if you're coming from something like the Nexus 5 like I was. If I put it next to it here, you can see the Nexus 5 is not a small phone, but it is absolutely dwarfed by the Nexus 6, and I really do mean dwarfed. It's kind of a massive difference, and with me with kind of small mediocre hands, that changed the way I used my device, and it's a little bit of a learning curve. So for example, my Nexus 5, I can easily use this in one hand. I can hold this in my left hand. I can reach across the entire device, so I can use a keyboard with the thumb. I can reach across it and use all the keys. I can reach the top of the device and pull the status bar down without an issue. That isn't quite the case with the Nexus 6 here. I can pick up the device, which by the way feels fantastic in the hand. It feels a lot more premium than the Nexus 5. There's a few reasons for that we'll go into in a second. But you can see with my thumb I can't reach across the entire device. So if I try to type, I have to really stretch, and that kind of brings in some hand fatigue and things like that. So I've had to do a few things to actually kind of not use it one-handed. Firstly, I used a few gestures to bring down the status bar so I don't have to reach all the way to the top. And for texting, I really can't do that one-handed. I have to hold the device in my left hand and use my right hand, or I have to use both hands like this and use my thumbs. So I've had to make a few changes and compromises to adapt to a phone with a much larger display. But I've gotten used to that already, if I'm being completely honest with you. In terms of, like I said, the way this feels, it does feel a lot more premium than the Nexus 5. There's a metal rim all the way around the Nexus 6, which just makes it feel really premium and really solid as well. And this phone actually feels really thin, and that's kind of strange considering it's one of the thickest phones out there, and you can see why. The phone tapers off towards the edges and becomes very thin towards the edges. So when you actually hold it, it curves round in your hand, and it feels great to hold in one hand. It really does. It feels really nice to hold. So that's a testament to Motorola's design there. In terms of the screens, well, one's AMOLED. You can see here, this is an IPS display on the Nexus 5. Not the best IPS display, mind you. But you can see the difference in the saturation levels. The AMOLED display on the Nexus 6 has amazing black levels, amazing contrast, really vivid colors. The Nexus 5 has more natural looking colors, but in a lot of situations it just looks a little bit more washed out and a little bit more pale. For example, the black levels are nowhere near the Nexus 6. You can see they're a little bit more washed out, a little bit more grey. Some people prefer IPS, some people prefer AMOLED. It's just a choice. I've got to say, out of these two displays, I prefer the AMOLED display. I really do. I prefer the more kind of punchy screen, but it really is a personal choice. I know a lot of people that prefer the more natural looking colors, but then I know a lot of people that also prefer the more vivid, the more rich colors of the AMOLED screen. So again, it just comes down to personal preference. And of course, what you get with having such a big screen here is a media powerhouse, and I really do mean that. Videos look absolutely amazing on this display. Let me just load up a video here. We'll load up YouTube. This is a 1440p video, and I'm not even sure what this will look like through the camera, but I can tell you it looks absolutely amazing. The colors look fantastic. It's very vivid. It's very sharp. It's comfortable watching. You know, you can watch an entire movie on this display and be completely comfortable with that. You won't be squinting. You won't feel like you've missed something or you haven't had the full experience. And of course, you have the speakers flanking the display as well. And if you turn them up, I'm not sure how well this will come through the video, but they are loud. They are seriously loud. They're not quite as bassy as something like the HTC Boom Sound on the M8, but they are incredibly loud, and that's something I'm really happy with. Again, especially coming from the Nexus 5 with its downward facing speaker that wasn't very loud anyway. On the Nexus 5, when I watched a video, I would have to mute my TV to actually hear it. On the Nexus 6, I do not have to do that. I can turn up the volume, I can clearly hear people's voices or music without having to mute any other TV in the room or anything like that. So really impressive stuff here. This YouTube video looks amazing. I've also got a film, I believe. What film can we check out? Google Play Movies. Let's head over here. We've already got Ice Age in here. Here we go with Ice Age. So this is streaming from Google Play Movies. Again, completely fills the screen, looks absolutely amazing, looks incredibly sharp, colours look excellent again. and it's just really enjoyable to watch on this display. It really is. You don't feel like you have to need to go to a TV to watch this. It's very, very comfortable. Now you can see here I kind of change a few things on my Nexus device. I got rid of the nav bar. I've actually got rid of the status bar on the home screens because I like using Pi. I like having that full screen experience. I use that on my Nexus 5 as well. And because the Nexus 6 screen is so big, it's just a more enjoyable experience to use than on my Nexus 5. Things like reading books or reading websites or even just general applications, they just look a lot better on the Nexus 6 than they do on the Nexus 5. Now, what else can we check out here? The camera. Now, I haven't used the camera too much, but if we load that up, I took a few shots. We'll go over. This is a kind of low light shot here. Again, I'll be doing a full review on the camera, but so far I've been pretty impressed with it. Low light was fantastic. I didn't have any issues with that. It's a very sharp image. You can zoom in here. Again, looks brilliant on this display. I also took some pictures. This was a picture of my wallet. Again, the detail level here, it's a 13 megapixel camera. Detail is really good. It's incredibly sharp. Nice lighting as well. In terms of HDR mode, so this was actually a normal shot. This was without HDR mode. The background got kind of blown out, not really sure why. This is the same shot but in HDR. You can see it's a much, much better shot. The colors are more saturated. There's more detail. The background isn't completely blown out like that one was. So the HDR Plus, from what I've tested so far, just makes the better shot overall. We had that same situation on the Nexus 5 and it looks like that's going to be carried over to the Nexus 6 as well. So far, I'm impressed with the camera. It's taken some really nice shots. HDR is actually pretty quick. It processes very fast, much faster than my Nexus 5. My initial impressions on the battery life, I had a full day of use on Saturday and Sunday, and it got me through those days quite easily. I had 16 hours off the charger. I didn't have to plug it in during the day, which is something I normally have to do on my Nexus 5. In terms of the screen on time, I think that was around 4 to 5 hours, with probably about 15 to 20% left. So again, that's quite an improvement for me over something like my Nexus 5, which on Lollipop was getting me around 2 to 3 hour screen on time, and I would have to plug it in daily. My stats right now, I did have to reboot my device, so the stats did reset. I had 30-minute screen on time before they reset. So I have right now about an hour and 44 minutes. So in total, that's about 2 hours 15, including that reboot. So I'm heading for around 5 to 6 hours of screen on time if that drain continues. I know it's not always like that. The graph is saying I'm going to get through to the next day. So battery life for me has been pretty good. And battery life in general is very usage dependent. You'll see on XDA people get 7 to 8 hours, but then they might do a lot of reading. They might not do as much gaming or as many videos. So don't always take screen on times and battery graphs as complete Bible. Just remember that. But yeah, I've been pretty impressed with the device so far, guys. As always, more videos are coming. Hope you enjoyed it. Peace out.